Hey, so you want to invest in real estate, but you're not sure where to start, right? What if I told you that you could buy your first investment property in just 3 months? Yeah, seriously. In this video, I'm going to break down everything you need to know step by step, no fluff, just actionable advice. By the end of this, you'll be ready to make your first investment, even if you've never done anything like this before. Let's get into it. Now, I remember when I first started, it felt like a mountain of information. There's talk of markets, loans, cash flow. And honestly, I didn't know where to begin. But here's the good news. It's a lot simpler than you think when you break it down. Over the next 12 minutes or so, I'm going to walk you through the process of buying your first investment property in the next 3 months. We'll cover how to research the market, plan your finances, build your team, and find the right property. I'm talking real practical steps you can start today. Ready? Let's dive in. I'm Cameron Brioux, and I'm a licensed realtor here in New Brunswick, Canada. The following steps are from my notes as an active investor over the last 10 years. And know that all investing does contain risk. The first thing you need to do is educate yourself. I cannot stress this enough. Real estate is all about understanding your target market. And I don't just mean checking out a house on realtor.ca. Join a local meetup group or connect with groups on the internet. You've got to dive a little bit deeper. What areas are growing? Which neighborhoods have good schools, new infrastructure, and potential developments on the horizon? You're probably saying, I don't think I can afford properties in my market. We'll pause on that for a moment. We'll loop back in a minute. For education, it's easier if you educate yourself on the area you know so that you can create a framework. If you're in a place like Moncton, for example, you'll want to know, are there certain neighborhoods where multifamily homes are more in demand than single family homes? These are things that you will need to be looking at. In your research, you will want to look for areas with rising demand, upcoming developments, or growing population trends. You may already be aware. If not, you can Google population growth plus your city's name, and you can work backwards from there. You can also look at correlating population growth plus the most affordable cities in your search. Again, we'll circle back on this in a moment. You'll also want to take a look at different property types and really try to understand what could work best for you. Is that single family, multifamily, condos, or perhaps a new development? Each does have its own pro and con, and it will affect your budget goals. And with this, you'll want to understand the rental market. Are people actively looking for rentals in this area? What specifically are they willing to pay for monthly rent? You will need to know the numbers to ensure that this will be a profitable investment. You'll make notes on what vacancy rates are and also understand what the laws are around being a landlord. This might sound like a lot, but trust me, once you get started and looking into it, you'll begin to see that there are patterns that can help you make better decisions. All right, let's talk about money. It's super important to have your financial plan locked down before you start making offers. First, how much can you afford? If you can swing it, putting 20% down is ideal. It'll help you avoid paying extra mortgage insurance and it'll keep your monthly payments lower. Yes, there are some great government programs that could help you where you could pay as little as 5%, with programs like the CMHC MLI Select here in Canada. But let's keep it simple for now. So for example, for a $400,000 property, you're looking at about 80K down. But it's not just about the down payment. You also have to consider your closing costs, which could add another 2 to 5% to that number. This will cover things like inspection, legal fees, and a small buffer to get you going when you own it. You've got to be ready for those costs, even if you're not going to spend that money now. Okay, now that we've covered the basics of budgeting, let's dive in a little bit deeper to the core principles that make real estate investing very powerful. There are four big concepts that you need to understand, which are cash flow, appreciation, cash on cash, and internal rate of return. These might sound technical, but I'm going to break them down to help make sense and how you can use them. Cash flow is your bread and butter as an investor, especially if you're focusing on rental properties. Cash flow is simply the money that you have left after all expenses are paid each and every month. That means after you pay your mortgage, taxes, insurance, maintenance, everything. So cash flow is your rental income minus all of your expenses. If this number is positive, congrats. You've got positive cash flow, which means your property is making money each and every month. Negative cash flow, on the other hand, means that you're paying out more than you're bringing in, and that is a situation you might want to avoid. So when analyzing a property, your goal should be to find one that generates consistent positive cash flow, and this will allow you to cover your expenses and start building wealth over time. This number can range, but the goal is for this number to be positive. Now, appreciation is the second big factor. This is where you make money as your property increases value over time. Think about how much property values have gone up in certain areas over the last 10 or 20 years. It's significant, right? There are two types of appreciation: natural and forced. Natural appreciation happens when market conditions improve and things like population grow, or there's new developments, or the general market demand is being pushed up. Forced appreciation, on the other hand, is where you actively increase your property's value. This could be through things like renovations, adding extra units, or improving the overall curb appeal. This could be a consideration if the property is less than break even on the cash flow side. Here's the thing: while cash flow is more predictable and steady, appreciation can offer those big long term gains. But it's important not to count solely on appreciation. It's just the cherry on top, not the main course. You might have seen the meme on the internet about your parents buying a home for a sack of potatoes in 1972 and getting $1 million now. That's kind of the idea here with appreciation. Next, let's talk about cash on cash. This is a super important metric that tells you how hard your money is working for you. Cash on cash return measures the return on the actual cash that you've invested, not the total value of the property. Cash on cash return is a percentage, and it equals the annual cash flow divided by the total cash invested. So let's break that down. Say you invest $50,000 as a down payment on a property, and that property generates $5,000 positive cash flow each year. Your cash on cash would be 10%. This metric is often used for those that are investing in stocks, and you're going to compare that rate of return to other investments. So in that example, that's a solid return. And here's why this is important. Cash on cash gives you a clear picture of how quickly your initial investment is making money. So if you are comparing two properties, this can help you see which one is delivering a better bang for your buck. Plus, you'll want to consider this long term. All right, here's the more advanced stuff. Now, if you really want to get into the nitty gritty of real estate investing, you've got to understand internal rate of return, or IRR. Think of this as the total return you'll make on your investment over time, taking into account both cash flow and the appreciation of the property. IRR is a bit more technical, but here's a simplified version. It's essentially the average annual return of your investment, factoring in not just the money you're making each year, but also the money you make when you sell the property down the line. This is a great metric to use when thinking about long-term and want to compare different investment opportunities. For example, let's say you've got one property that has amazing cash flow but little appreciation, and the other that has solid appreciation potential but lower cash flow. IRR can help you determine which property will provide the highest overall return. So to recap, here's how it all ties together. Cash flow is your immediate month-to-month income from the property. Appreciation is the long-term gain as the property value rises. Cash on cash return shows you how efficiently your initial investment is working for you, and IRR gives you the big picture view of your total returns over time. These principles are the foundation of smart real estate investing. When you understand how to apply them, you can make informed decisions that not only build your wealth, but also minimize your risk. This will help you lean towards one asset class or another. So when you're analyzing properties, keep this in mind. You're not just looking at one number, you're looking at the entire investment picture. The last step in this process is to consider an emergency fund. And I recommend saving at least 6 months worth of expenses just in case something goes wrong. Because trust me, something will. You're not doing this alone, okay? You need a solid team around you. First, you need to find a realtor who knows the investment game. Not every agent understands the nuances of buying investment properties, so make sure they have experience with investors and investing themselves. Next is a mortgage broker. They're going to help you secure the best financing for your situation. Whether it's a conventional loan or a specific product to help you succeed, you want someone to explain your options and get you pre-approved before you even start making offers. And if you're planning to rent out your property but don't want the headache of managing tenants, a property manager will be a lifesaver. They'll handle everything from finding tenants to collecting rent, dealing with maintenance. Of course, this does come with a cost, and it's usually about 8 to 10% depending on the market, but it can be totally worth it in the long run. There are many types of managers, from turnkey full service to just listing agents that'll set up viewings. I could do a whole video on this, and I will. If you make the consideration to invest out of your local market, your property manager will be your greatest asset. Your team is essential, so do not skip this step. Plan lots of meetings, talk to people, let them know your game plan, and let them know that you'll make a decision by a certain day so that if You commit to them, they will work hard for you. Now, onto the fun part, actually picking a property. But hold up. This is where people make mistakes. Don't just buy the first thing you see, you'll need to look at the big picture. As you know, there is a saying, location, location, location. It's cliche, but it's true. The area you choose is everything. Are there good schools nearby? Is there public transportation? Are there shopping centers close that tenants need to visit? Think about what features tenants will care about. If you're buying in Moncton, for example, are there new developments that will drive up the property values? That might be where you want to start your focus. At this point, you may have clearly defined what is driving your investment goals. By using a budget and your goals, this will help you narrow down the type of property that will best help you achieve those goals. Here's what you should consider and make this into a checklist. Location. Is it a growing area? The condition of the property. Are you buying something that's move-in ready or is it a fixer-upper? The latter might be cheaper upfront, but don't forget the renovation costs. The rental demand. How much are similar properties renting for in the area? What you want to make sure of is, will this property rent quickly for a price that covers your costs? This is where your research really starts to pay off. You'll know exactly what to look for. Before you make an offer, you have to do your due diligence. This means talking to professional home inspectors and licensed contractors to understand their process, the costs, and what to look for in a given inspection. Please do not skip this step. When making an offer, you will want to make it conditional on inspection and finance. Do not be shy to ask for multiple visits, especially if you're going to do value-add improvements and require a contractor quotes. You want to catch any issues with the roof, plumbing, electrical, foundation, anything that could lead to a big expense down the road. Make sure you hire a licensed inspector to check the roof, the plumbing, the foundation, the electrical system, HVAC, and other key systems that could cause you headaches down the line. At the end of the day, this inspection will ultimately provide you with a maintenance list of big picture and small items that you should be aware of. Also, you will want to ask for verified expenses as part of your contract. This means actual copies of the bills for property tax, water, insurance, repairs, and property management. A pro tip, if there are tenants in place, you will also require a copy of the leases and a note in your contract that the deposit or last month's rent be transferred to you at closing. Verifying these expenses and lease terms now is a critical stage in the buying process. If you don't want any surprises after you buy the property, make sure everything is in good shape and makes sense now. And while you're at it, keep an eye on the overall market, interest rates, and the local economy, including the population growth. In the long run, this is going to help you in your investment journey. So there you have it. These are the exact steps to buying your first investment property within the next 3 months. We've covered everything from how to research the market, plan your finances, build your team, selecting the right property, and performing your due diligence. For some, this process might be shorter than 3 months. For others, it could take longer. Know your goals. Now it's up to you to take action. You don't need to wait any longer. Start researching markets today, set up meetings with real estate agents and mortgage brokers. This is how every successful investor gets started, by taking that first action step. And trust me, your future self will thank you for it. Hit that subscribe button if you want to hear more real estate tips, and give this video a thumbs up if you did find it helpful. If you do have any questions, you can drop them down below, or you can go into the first link down in the description. Until next time.